right? So here was one of the souvenirs from that series. And as you can see on here, we got a hockey stick with a rat on it. And the Avalanche theme was bury them. So that was pretty fun. Yeah, I ended up getting to go to the Western Conference Finals against.
You did? Really?
Yeah, I was sitting there 14 seats up from the ice.
Wow. One of the greatest series, in NHL playoff history, probably.
Right.
Yeah. And then, the Red Wings went on to win 3 Stanley Cups within 5 years. The next 2 years they won, and then they won again in 2002. So that was start of finally the Red Wings start of their dynasty. So you saw some great teams.
Right.
With each other.
A few years later, the Avalanche won a cup again in 2001. And again, they acquired another French-Canadian future Hall of Fame to do it. Tell us about that, Doug.
So in 2001, right? So again, like your dad said, there was a powerhouse struggle between the Avalanche and the Red Wings in the late 90s. Even though we won the cup the first time around, we ended up winning something like 9 straight division titles with our team. And it seemed like we were always in the mix of meeting up with the Red Wings, either in the finals or in the Western Conference Finals. And so we needed a little extra power horse to come help us out, get some of these older players online. We lost some of our good talent. Typically what happens when you win a cup is people get fostered elsewhere. You as a Sharks fan, you guys took Mike Gricci back from us.
Right.
So we ended up making some moves. We ended up getting a couple of defensemen, which were great. We traded to the Kings and got Rob Blake for one of them. And then probably the most famous one was stealing up one of the best hockey players, defenseman of all time, Ray Bourque, number 77 of the Bruins. So.
And, Ray Bourque, of course, everyone knew at that point he was a Hall of Famer and had only played for the Bruins his entire career, but the Bruins at that point had no chance of even making the playoffs or winning the Stanley Cup. He had gone to the Stanley Cup final with the Bruins a couple times, losing to the Edmonton Oilers, I think both times. But most Boston fans, I went to college in New England, so I knew a lot of Bruins fans, and that was right around the time. And most Bruins fans were rooting for Ray Bourque to win a cup, and they understood that he had to go elsewhere to do it. But it wasn't just a trade to him to let him ride to the Stanley Cup. He was a very important part of the Colorado Avalanche winning the cup that year. I think he signed the year before, and then they were stopped in the playoffs. So he had a full season with the Avalanche and into the playoffs. And I don't think Colorado would have won the cup without him.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And it was fun. It was fun having the Boston fans behind us, and especially. Ironically, again, like we talked about, we ended up beating the New Jersey Devils in the finals. And so, again, you had a couple of good Hall of Fame goaltenders, Ray Bourque on defense. And it was a really fun series. It was a little nerve-wracking because it went to Game 7 that year. And that was, I think, the first time that we were really in a Stanley Cup final, Game 7, tight series. And we had to come back. I think we were down 3-2 against the Devils. And so we charged back and won that second cup. So the second cup was great. I mean, it wasn't like the first cup. But I will tell you, and I'm the first to admit, Colorado fans got spoiled the first year. We inherited a hockey team. We won the cup the first year. And so fans expected a cup every year or every other year after that. So,
and that's kind of similar to the Dallas Stars. They didn't win their first year in Dallas, but again, that was a unique situation where the Minnesota North Stars moved to Dallas and were a good team at that point and ended up winning a couple of cups very early on in their relocation. So there's a lot of good luck for some of these new locations of franchises, and you have to feel bad, I think, for the fans in Minnesota and in Quebec, where they supported this franchise all these years, and then as soon as they move to a different city, they win the cup that they never won in their old city. Yeah, and one thing from the 2001 Stanley Cup was the captain, Joe Sakic, the first person that he handed the cup to, of course, was Ray Borg.
Ray Borg, right?
Which was pretty special. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the famous scenes that you'll see in NHL spotlights and promos. Is they'll often show Ray Borg in his Avalanche jersey raising the cup.
That's right.
Pretty impressive moment.
And then the next year, I believe it was the very next year in 2002, when the Red Wings won their third cup in 4 or 5 seasons, the third cup since '97. I believe that went to 7 games against Colorado.
Right.
And that might have been Patrick Waugh's last game. I'm not quite sure, but Detroit blew them away in Game 7. I think it was 7-0 or something like that. So, I mean, you just kind of the struggle going back and forth between Detroit and Colorado, and all of the stories with, the Red Wings driving Patrick Waugh from Montreal to Colorado, and then the Colorado kind of, winning the cup before the Red Wings, and then the Red Wings having their run. And it's just really interesting. That's really kind of how that rivalry ended in 2002. The Red Wings did win another cup in 2008, but a lot of different players for the Red Wings at that point, and the Avalanche wasn't kind of the same. That kind of Game 7 in 2002
Right.
kind of ended that one of the greatest rivalries in hockey history, I think.
Yeah, it kind of we entered a rebuilding phase late in the mid 2000s, 2003, 2004 is when the Avalanche started rebuilding again, and that kind of dwindled the rivalry a little bit. And then once we moved, the Red Wings moved out of the conference and went
Right.
to another conference. That really
Yeah.
tied in. So now I would say that the rivalry still exists. We play Detroit a couple times a year, but I think it's shifted over to the Minnesota Wild as our now kind of rival that we have, I would say.
And you want to talk about
The Avalanche were not very good in the 2016-2017 season, were they? 22, 56, and 4, 48 points.
Yeah, just like Quebec had its challenges going through some hard times, the Avalanche did. And I would say that they weren't as bad as their record indicated.
That's a pretty bad record, 22, 56, and 4.
It's a bad record. We had a lot of issues on defense. We got outscored quite a bit. We did have some offensive juggernauts and some powerhouse goal scorers, but we couldn't hold off anybody defensively, and it led to, again, another time of rebuilding. Proud to say it was a quick turnaround, though.
Well, who did they acquire? Was it that season that they ended up acquiring Nate McKinnon because of that, or?
Yeah, it was after that they acquired Nate McKinnon, and he came on. And we had Matt Duchene in that time frame. He helped out coming on a little bit. We had quite a few good players even that we recently let go, but fortunately we've made some good moves and good trades and gotten some very, very solid talent for this year. And unfortunately, due to this pandemic, I was hoping that we'd be on another run this year.
Maybe. I mean, they might come back. But
who knows?
I want to mention the last time the Avalanche were in the
In
playoffs.
the 2018-2019 season, the Avalanche were eliminated from the playoffs by what team again?
Oh, let me think if I could remember. No, yeah, I knew you were going to bring that up because the Sharks. We have a hard time with the Sharks. It's not the first time the Sharks have eliminated us from the playoffs, and probably won't be the last. So, yeah, I love your jersey, by the way. I think it's awesome. I think that you're wearing the alternate jersey, and I got my Avalanche.
Tell us about your Avalanche jersey. Is this your favorite of all the Avalanche jerseys they've ever had, or?
I think so. I really like this jersey. I mean, I was going to show. Maybe I could show you this. So originally, this.
That's right.
Was the jersey
That's
from
the Colorado Rockies. That's right.
And
Those
so
are beautiful jerseys. I love the colors, and Can you explain the logo and what that's pulled from?
Right. So the logo, obviously, the triangle logo here is representing kind of the mountain range because of the Rocky Mountains. Interesting fact: when Colorado first came from Quebec, the original team name was supposed to be a regional name, and they chose the Rocky Mountain Extreme.
The Rocky Mountain, can you imagine that? The Colorado Rocky Mountain Extreme.
They were going to be called the Rocky Mountain Extreme.
I'm not sure about that.
Fans in Colorado went ballistic. They were like, that is not going to happen. So that's when they went back, because they couldn't use Rockies because our baseball team acquired that back in 1993. So they had to find something else. So they came out with the Avalanche. And so this is kind of, this alternate jersey is kind of an homage to the original Rockies jersey, staying for the mountains. And then in the little triangles, here's the snow-capped mountains of Colorado. And then the big C on here is a symbol from the state flag.
And on that jersey, the state flag is on your patch there.
That's right. So our patch is the state flag on this jersey.
Yeah.
Which, again, I'll go back to, that was kind of the original jersey. And then our first jersey was this avalanche symbol. And the avalanche symbol is, if you can see, is a big A, obviously, for the mountain. The swirl is reflective of an avalanche, a snow avalanche coming around the mountain. And it also forms a C. But we had, if you look on the shoulders, there was an alternate logo that was originally, which was the Bigfoot or the Sasquatch foot. So that's what they had on their patch on the side.
But they removed the Sasquatch patch, and how do you feel about that? I kind of like the Bigfoot patch.
I do like the Bigfoot Sasquatch patch. So they ended up removing it and putting just the C on their original jerseys.
And then the C still looks like the Colorado flag C, right?
Yes, right. Yeah. So,
well, that's a nice touch as well, but. I don't know. I kind of. What do you think? What do you like better, the Bigfoot patch or the C?
Bigfoot.
Yeah, Bigfoot patch is pretty good.
Yeah, and then they came up with, this was kind of their other alternate jersey that they first came out with, which was used for just a couple of years. They had a maroon one and a blue one.
Any jersey that's not a New York Rangers jersey that has
right.
I mean, just that should be reserved only for the Rangers, I think.
Right. So then they came up with this new alternate jersey, and it's really hit the fan base pretty well. So a lot of people like it, and when it came out, I needed to get one of them because. What
about the Stadium Series jersey for this year? How do you feel about that? Because that was kind of a controversial one.
Yeah, I don't know. So it had a kind of a big A all along the jersey.
The collar.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if I really. It came out with mixed reviews. And then I watched the Stadium Series. I think if they would have won, they would have probably liked the jerseys a little bit more on that game, but they didn't. So, but it was a good jersey.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, I think we covered everything. What do you think?
I think that's going to be all for this Hockey Jersey podcast.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. It was my pleasure to be a guest speaker and talk about the Nordiques and the Avalanche. And I appreciate what you guys are doing. And this is a great episode. I look forward to seeing some more of your work.
Well, you're our first, guest that we've had, and this might open the door. We might get tons of applications now. Want to be a guest, so
it's going to go viral, and people want to join.
All right.
Thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe, and goodbye.